All right, so we're going to get started designing the site now that we have everything built and installed and configured. So what we're going to do is we're going to build the homepage. I always start with the homepage design first. And what we're going to do is we're going to come to pages. And like I said, for my sites, I use pages for everything. Posts up here would be more for like a blog. So I just do pages because to me that feels like more like a business website. We'll keep the default privacy policy that's there. I'll talk more about these later on. There's generators online to generate these and stuff. And I'm going to delete the sample page there as well just to clean things up a bit. So we're going to add a new page, and this is going to be our home page. So up here is going to be our site title. So let's just call this citing. I normally name my home page my main keyword, followed by whatever city I'm in. So maybe I'll just say citing contractor slinger. And we'll talk more about keywords and stuff like that as well. You can see down here the URL slug. This is also the same thing as your permalink. So whatever this is, it's going to be your permalink. So you can see it says citing hyphen contractor slinger. So if your site was pauljames.com, it would be citing contractor slinger. Unless, of course, we end up making that the home page, which we're going to, then it would just be pauljames.com. But that still would be like the slug that is there. Now, this is important, these URL slugs and the permalinks. That's why I've spent a lot of time talking about it, because this is a spot for your keyword to be in the URL. Okay, so with that being said, this is the Yoast SEO plugin that you're seeing here. I'm just showing you where that ends up showing up at. As you can see, it just kind of shows you what it's going to look like in Google. So you're able to change any of this around by modifying this stuff. We'll talk more about that later. But for now, we're going to go ahead and we're going to click Edit with Elementor up here at the top. So let's go back. There we go, Edit with Elementor. So it's going to open up the Elementor page builder. And now we're ready to get going. And as you can see right now, all we see is the footer. So this is going to become your best friend. You're going to want to really start to get familiar with this page builder. And it's really not that hard. I'm going to explain to you as we get going. I'm going to click on settings and I'm going to look at the page layout. I think the one that I normally use is called Elementor full width. So I think that's the one I normally use. Let me preview the changes once. Yes, that's the one I normally use. Elementor full width will keep whatever theme you have's footer in place and whatever theme you have's header and menu in place. So that's the one you want to use. And to get to that, you click this little gear over here and it's right here, page layout. So just always make sure that that's set to full width. Okay, so now that we've got that set, what we're going to do is when you envision a website, you want to envision it as basically rows and columns. So I pulled up an example site and here's what I mean. So this first section up here would be considered a row where this house background is. How many columns would this row have, do you think? It would have two, right? Because you'd have one column here, the picture like a line drawn right down here. And on one side, we've got a contact form. And then on the other side, we've got these little widgets. So we have one row, two columns. And if we scroll down on the site, we've got this next section here where we have a video and some text. So we'd have one row and how many columns? Two columns again, right? Column with a video on one side and then some text on the other. Now if we scroll down to this section, we have one row, but on this section we have three columns. 1, 2, 3. So if you envision a website like that when you're building it out, you can basically look at almost any website on the web and you can almost just duplicate it into Elementor. So if you find a website design that you like in your niche, like I just went and Googled citing Chicago and I found who was the main person there. And it was this company that popped up. So if I wanted to make a site similar to this, well, I'll start off with one row. So the way I do that is I click the plus icon, and I can choose if I want a row with 1 column, 2 columns, 3 columns. If I want the column like this laid out over here. So that would probably be what I would want to do in this scenario. I'd want to pick one where the column is way over to the right because that's kind of how theirs is. I'm not going to do that. I think I'm going to make mine more centered just because that's the way I like to build my sites. I like to make my forms more over in the center of that column and just kind of keep it closer together. So I'm going to do 2 columns still, so it's still similar to theirs, but I'm going to make my column centered. I can always drag these around too. Like they don't have to be perfectly centered. I'm going to leave mine perfectly centered, but they don't have to be. So the other thing we can do is we can set a height on this. So right here where it says height, you can set a minimum height if you want to make that column stay however big you want it. So we'll just leave it set as 400 pixels. And yeah, we've got our first column. So let's start inserting some text into this column. The way we do that is just hit plus again, and we can insert like this heading. That would be fine. And let's see, siding contractor Chicago. So maybe I'll do something like Premier siding contractor in Slinger, Wisconsin, or something like that. Okay, now you see this HTML tag here. I'm not going to say much about this stuff yet because we're not into the SEO portion of it, but what I want you to do is keep them all for now set to P, which means paragraph, because we're going to mess with these tags later on. Okay, so now we can mess with everything else on this as well. I'm going to have to reload my site though, because there's supposed to be something up here that shows the stylings and I can't see it. So I'm going to pause the video and reload my site because there's something down here, this Yoast thing that's messing it up. Okay, I figured it out. There was a little got it button down there that I had to click and I didn't see it. So anyways, the reason I did that is because it was cutting off this top part where it says style. So anyways, I'm selecting whatever it is I want to edit. I'm clicking style. I can change the style however I want. Make it whatever color I want. I can make it whatever size I want. I can make it whatever font I want. So I'm going to use a font called Poppins, which I use a lot. Yeah, I mean, everything is completely editable however you want. I can center it if I want into the column. It'll center into the column. So that looks good. Now, the cool part is once I have this set, if I want to make more font, I can duplicate it. So I could duplicate it and just change it. Put a phone number here. Just a fake phone number for now. If I click these squares up here, this will always take me back to all the widgets that is available. If I did by chance put in a different heading like that, but I wanted the heading to match this style, I could copy it. So I could right click whatever style I want and click copy, and then right click the one I want to change and click paste just the style. So then it'll change just the style of it, which is kind of cool too. Okay, so there we go. I mean, I've got some font in there, some placeholders. Maybe I'll make this one a little bit bigger so it stands out. That looks good. So yeah, it's coming together. I'm going to add a different background in because they have a background of a house. So there's different stock photo sites that you can use. There's a site called Pexels, which is pretty good. It's free. A site Pixabay, which is okay. I like Pexels a little bit better. Also free. And then there's premium sites like depositphotos.com, which is not free. You have to pay for the photos. So you can choose whichever route you want to go. I'll see if I can find something on Pexels that is going to work. Type in modern house or something like that because it kind of looks like what they used. Lots of decent options for sure on Pexels for what I'm searching for. I mean, this one alone looks pretty good. So we could try this one and see how it comes out. We might have to play with it a little bit. It'll just download a file. And the way we change this is we hover over the the blue box here, which is controlling the section. Okay, and then under style of the section, you can see that we can insert a background. So you're going to select classic for the background type, and then you'll be able to choose an image. And when I hit choose image, I can drag in that image I downloaded from Pexels, just like this. Okay, and then it's loaded in there, and I'll just hit insert media. Okay, and there it is. Now I may have to play with the positioning a little bit. Maybe we need to make it center center. Okay, so I might do something like that. Or maybe I'll do bottom center. I could try that. So you'll just have to play with it to see, you know, what looks right for it. And then you can always, you know, if you need to do something different with it, you can. You can make it so it scrolls, so that when you scroll the site, I don't have any other content on it, but when it scrolls, it would actually scroll with it, the image would. So it just depends how you want to do it. I'm going to just do probably center for now. Okay, and then this font doesn't really work real well with this. I think I can do an overlay too. Let's check the background overlay. I like to do this sometimes. We'll do classic, and I'm going to do a black background overlay on this one. And the reason why I'm doing that is it kind of darkens the photo a little bit. You can change the opacity of how dark you want it. Okay, but the reason I'm going to do that is because I'm going to change this font style here to all be white. And now that pops really nicely, right? So you can see just how quickly we can start to put a nice looking site together. And of course on this side we'll have a contact form. We'll update the changes every time we're done. If we want to preview, you can always preview over here. And it's going to show us where we're at. But you can see, right, like we're really starting to get things coming together here. I mean, already we've got a site that's starting to look more like theirs, which is good. All right, so we'll mess with the form later because that part is a little bit more complicated. And instead, what we're going to do is we're going to finish adding the rest of the stuff to the home page and kind of fleshing that out so that we get that done. So let's kind of go down and just kind of do the next section. So if I want a section like this, I can add that in pretty easily. I'll just hit the plus icon. We'll do 2 columns again. On one side, we'll do an image instead of a video, make our site different. So we'll just drag an image over there. And then on this side, we'll do content. So we'll do a heading, and then we'll also do just a regular text editor like that. Okay, so I'm going to copy this style on this heading. I'll change it white though, but I like the font on it though, so that's why I'm doing that. But I'm going to change so it's all black like that. Another thing that you'll want to note is that there is something, if you click on the section and you go under style, I think it's style, no, it's advanced. There is something called margin and padding. So if you unlink these values on one of these, we can add a bit of margin to the top of this so it's not so close to the next section. So that's what controls that. And then this font right here, I think I'll just copy and paste it a little bit more so that we have some more content so that we can kind of just flesh the design of the site out a little more. So let me update that. And then below this section, I'm going to create another section, but we're going to do this one full width. And on this section, I'm going to copy this paragraph and paste this down here. So we'll just do some more font there like that. And then maybe I'll just copy and paste this a little bit more so we have a little more font there. Like that. So that looks pretty good. And then let's see if we can get some more ideas. So they have some of these different things here like that. See if we could add something like that in somewhere. So let's go back to the widgets over here. I'm just looking at some of the different things they have. Some of this stuff you have to pay for too. So if you don't want to pay for their I rarely even, I have a paid version, but I rarely use the features in it. So I'm not even going to activate it in this scenario. They also have this thing here. If you click this little folder here, they have something called blocks. And under blocks, you can't use the pro ones, but you can use anything that's not pro for free. So you might see something in here that catches your eye under blocks. So let's see if we can see anything that kind of catches our attention that we might want to use. Maybe something like this. Let's take a look. Probably not that. So we could do one of these little service blocks. There's lots of different ones to choose from. And we could talk more about the services they provide. Let's insert that, or we could talk about features. I've got to connect to a personal account. This is free, so you'll just have to click Get Started and Connect in order to use their blocks. So I'm going to do that quick. Okay, I'm connected. It inserted my services block here. And I think that I might actually move this block above and put it right there. And now I can go through and mess with this stuff. So definitely I'm going to copy this heading style and paste that style there so that it matches. I also don't like how much padding this has within here. Like everything is really separated. So if I click on advanced, I'm going to make sure I'm under the right tab here. I can mess with this padding. Oh, that's not the right one. Could be under, here it is. This 100 padding is kind of a lot. I think I might change this to like 20 on the top and the bottom. Bottom could use a little bit more, maybe 40. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so that's kind of like my basic site right here now. So let's check out the changes. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Now I might change like the background color of some of this stuff too. Maybe I would center this font. Something like that. Maybe on this one we do a different background. So I could come under style here, and under background we'll just do a colored background perhaps. Maybe like just a really light gray or something. That looks pretty good. Let's refresh and see what that looks like. Oh yeah, that made a big difference. I could do something on the bottom here, and I could do, under this section, I could do what's called a shape divider. And these are cool. You can put it either on the top or the bottom. And what they are is they've got mountains that you can add in. You have to pick a color. So you could do something like that. You can change like the width of it and the height of it. So it's kind of cool. On plumbing sites, I like to use this drop one a lot. I like to put it on the top like this. And I normally like to make it kind of like blue. Well, it's purple. But anyways, you get the point. You can really go crazy with this stuff, right? And do something really cool looking. So let me take some of this off of here and kind of figure out what I want to do. Let me copy this background color on this one. So you can grab the color code that you used on that, and then we can go back to this section here for the shape divider, and on the top we could do like zigzag and paste in the same color that leads in from the one right above it. I'm not sure if I like that or not. Maybe I kind of do. I don't know. Let's update it and check out the changes. So it kind of flows into the bottom like that. I'm not really sure if I like it, but you can kind of see what I was going for here. I can try some different ones. Oh, that's kind of cool. So it adds kind of like a little triangle section into the bottom. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, I kind of like that. Something a little bit, that one's kind of got a triangle going too. Triangle asymmetrical. the arrow. I like the arrow. That looks kind of good. Yeah, I think I might just go with that arrow and then maybe just bump this margin down a little bit on this one from the top. Oh, that messes with the margin there. We don't want to do margin. We want to do padding in this scenario. There we go. Yeah, I like that. So that looks good. So I think we've kind of fleshed out our design here. It would just be a matter of going and obviously tweaking the content of all this stuff. But now we've got like our homepage design. And what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to save this design. And the way you do that is, I think we click this folder and we click the little save button up here. And we save this page to our library. So I'll normally just save it as like home template because this is our home page. Because we're going to use this template now to help us build out our contact page and then our inner pages. And by inner pages, I mean like when we start to add separate pages to our website for each keyword, we can use this same template to do that. All right, so that is the homepage design.